So, hi Eric. Long time no see, right?
Yeah.
So we just recorded recently one episode, and now we're recording another one. So, uh, tell me, how is it going on? How is everything going on in New York right now?
Better. Things are the curve is flattened, so things are calming down, and we're just trying to figure out how to reopen everything. Talking a lot about testing and how to ramp that up. Uh, Different types of testing, the antigen, antibody, and then also just to see if you have it or not. Ramping all that up and putting together plans to get everybody out of their houses. But they extended the quarantine and the stay at home till the 15th. So they got a lot to figure out here. When you look at what other countries have done that have been successful, it's massive testing. And while the president here claims that we're doing more testing than anybody in the world, when you look at it on a per capita basis, we're actually behind everybody else. So when you look at other countries, testing's the big thing. The other big things are contact tracing and quarantining. And the ways they're doing that are with like cell phones, so they're tracking your location. And then when you interact with other people, well, let me back up. They're not really tracking your location. They're sending out a Bluetooth beam up to a certain distance, and you have a token. And then you grab the tokens of the people you come in contact with, and then it calls out, it looks at a central repository of positive tokens, positive people who are positive for coronavirus, and then it alerts you if you've been in contact with that other token. So it's not actually tracking your location, but that's a big thing in how other countries, like Asian countries, are successful in alerting people like, hey, you've been in contact, you need to self-quarantine, and people, keeping it under control. But here, we'll never go for that. Like, we don't trust any technology company. I think people probably trust Apple the most because they've been the strongest in terms of privacy, which you pay a premium for by using their devices. But I don't think we'll ever do that. Like, Americans are so freedom, like, don't take my freedom or die. Like, so I don't know.
It's the same issue here in the Netherlands. Like the same thing with the Bluetooth. So there is a huge debate right now, and because a lot of people think, yeah, it can invade your privacy because like you can specifically track down people who are who are on a database, right? Or you can just drive around the neighborhood in a car, and just spam all the devices. And yeah, the device is not the best way to do. In Ukraine, they even go a little bit crazier. Like, they introduce an application where if you are infected, you are supposed to take at random times picture on your phone application that you are in home.
Yeah,
but this application like required only if you are infected, and yeah, this is not something.
I mean, you want to be successful at this, you're gonna have to give up some privacy. You're gonna have to do some things we don't want to do. Like, that's until there's a prophylactic, like a preventative method. Or I guess the other way through it is to get the antibody testing reliable. Like, there's still a lot of unreliable tests out there, but if you had that and that actually worked, I mean, there's been reports from other countries of people being reinfected. Now, they don't know if they were a different strain infected or if they were just reactivated, but either way, like, they still became infectious again, they think. So to say that you have antibodies doesn't necessarily mean for sure that you're not still infectious, or could be infectious, or could get it again. Like, and dude, there's so much we don't know. Like, even here, they're not even tracking like all the deaths. So they're saying I see this on Twitter a lot. There's a lot of propaganda, and there's this huge misinformation and disinformation battle going on, probably in all countries, but it's definitely here on Twitter and Facebook. And but people are saying, "Oh no, that's the deaths are overinflated because they're tracking anybody who died with coronavirus as a coronavirus death," and that's just yeah, that's true. Like you had coronavirus and you had your organs failed, like yeah, that's probably coronavirus. Like that's not overinflated. Like don't be ridiculous. But what they aren't tracking,
like I don't think that they're tracking people who die in accident or something like that as corona infection. Like it's
yes,
it would be stupid to track it as this one. I think
no, these are people like they didn't die in a car crash and had coronavirus and they're like, oh, that's coronavirus. No, like they had organ failure, their lungs failed, and what they're finding is we're not even tracking people at home who died. So even though like everything's shut down, there's hardly anybody driving, like there's hardly anybody out, we're finding that the deaths outside of the hospital are higher. At the peak here, they were 8 times what they normally were, and none of those are counted. So what they're finding now is that coronavirus originally thought was attacking your lungs and you would starve your body of oxygen and that's how you would die. But they're finding now like it's attacking all types of different organs. Like there was an article just the other day about patients with stroke and how doctors were seeing blood clots forming right in front of their eyes, like in the blood. Like so it would be like they would just remove a clot and then the blood would clot right back up. And they're like, holy like that's coronavirus. Like that's, so they're seeing it attacking the heart. There's a lot of people who died at home during heart conditions that they're now finding that they're testing. Oh, they had coronavirus. And now they're seeing like, oh, it attacks the heart. It attacks the digestive system. It attacks all these different organs. Like, so the death count is actually much, much higher than it was. Then it's being counted because of all these deaths that aren't actually being attributed. And the ones that are attributed, there's so much information around that, just which I can't really get into because it's a whole nother podcast.
Yeah, I agree, and yeah, it's quite terrible. For instance, friend of mine, almost whole family died of coronavirus in Ukraine. Wow. So it's like 2 young boys, like 27, 28.
Yeah.
And yeah, no one is protected, like even if you are young and you're strong, it doesn't mean like you shouldn't protect yourself and you shouldn't be cautious because no one is immune.
No, it's hitting all age groups. They're fine, mostly people with secondary problems, but not everybody has an underlying condition.
And the piteous thing, like here, for instance, in the Netherlands, they're thinking about opening schools and daycares in like 1 week, because like this is stupid things that they say, like, yeah, the kids under 12 years old, like, they're not transmitting the disease. Like, yeah, I don't think there's any scientific basis for this one.
No,
they just think maybe that maybe they just
haven't tested. They're not dying and they're not getting really sick, so they haven't been tested. That's all. They just haven't been tested.
Yeah,
go out there and test them en masse, and I bet you'll find infections in age groups.
Yeah, so we already canceled like a couple of weeks ago. We decided to cancel our daycare because we're still paying for it, and we decided maybe it makes sense just to wait it out. Yeah, we still will get reimbursed back for daycare costs here, but in the end, it just doesn't make sense for us to continue going to daycare because as soon as they open, we are unable just to decide, hey, but there could be infection going on still, and we don't want to go there. Let's say just to, like, even if kids doesn't get infected, the adults that are bringing their kids to the daycare, they're still coming. They're still getting contact with the daycare workers. there's a lot of things like sometimes I wonder why government is so oblivious to this kind of basic knowledge, you know.
There's so much we don't know, and there's so, I mean, at least here there's so little planning around testing and contact tracing, and we're not willing to give up any freedoms or any liberties, or I don't know. I don't see how that works. I don't see how you can open that way, but some states are doing it. Some states are going for it, so guess we'll see.
Yeah, let's hope it will resolve without big consequences.
Don't worry. One day it'll go away. It's like a miracle. It'll just disappear. That's what Trump says. It'll just disappear. Like a miracle. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Okay. Let's record an intro.
Yeah. Loading the Loop is sponsored by Blackfire.io. I'm Eric Hileman, CEO and co-founder of Mage Mojo Magento Hosting out of New York City. For 10 years, we've been doing Magento-specific hosting, and today we'll evaluate one of our customer stores. We'll share with you what we find in hopes that it may improve your Magento skills. And along with me on this magical journey is my co-host, Ivan.
Hey, my name is Ivan. I'm one of Magento experts in performance. I help businesses big and small with performance issues, as well as with other stuff related to Magento, and not only Magento. And today I'm going to help Eric with one of the major customers from Australia. So Eric, tell us a little bit more about the customer.
Computer parts, my favorite. I'm just on their site now, and I'm looking at a Titan RTX 24 gig graphics card, Founders Edition even. Are you into any gaming, Ivan?
Not much at the moment because I'm quite busy, but in general, my computer can game, but it can also do machine learning. I have
these cars very good for that.
The 1070 Ti. It's quite old comparing to something that is on the market, but this is more than enough for me.
Yeah,
like RTX, like it just has ray tracing in it, but technically from point of view of CUDA cores, it doesn't make any
it has a
big difference.
New NVEC encoder too, so it can encode video for you a little bit faster. How much faster, I don't know, but yeah, the main thing is definitely ray tracing, which is a whole other podcast.
Actually, this one is an interesting question because the quality of the video encoding, there was done some tests, and like if you really want to encode in high quality, the best one is CPU encoder.
Really?
Because GPU takes some shortcuts, and it's still not the best one. Also, like if you are recording your screen, probably yes, a GPU can do some magic of encoding stuff with internal encoder. But if you, let's say you have a camera and you want to record string from the camera, you still better with CPU from point of view the quality, because
That's
the data needs to get sent through the system bus into GPU in order to be encoded properly. And technically speaking, like encoder is cool, but the software encoder is still the best. Because unfortunately video encoders are not built with GPU acceleration itself. So if there would be some software encoder that can use CUDA cores in order to encode video itself, it could be great, but in general CPU works quite nice. And CPUs, if you have a lot of cores, for instance, I have 3900X AMD CPU, and this one has 12 physical cores with 24 logical ones. So it can handle quite a lot from point of view of encoding.
So in OBS then, is OBS is using your GPU though, isn't it? Like right now?
No, it's not. So right now it's encoding with CPU for me.
I think mine's using my GPU, but I'm on a laptop, and it probably I think I have six physical cores, 12 logical, like an i7. So I actually just put a eGPU enclosure on here, so it comes in through Thunderbolt 3, the Razer Core X, and then I have a RTX 2070 Super in it. Because my laptop was just burning up when I was trying to do the video, and I was on Zoom and sharing my screen, and we were collaborating in Jira together. Like, it was just overheating and lagging terribly. So I figured I'd try the eGPU. It seems to be working really good. It does, like, the fans on the GPU aren't even running right now. It's just kind of laughing at what I'm asking it to do. Probably overkill.
Yeah, the only problem is that bandwidth over Thunderbolt 3 is going to be...
It's 40 gigs.
Worse.
It's 40 gigs. So apparently I'm actually running... my laptop screen is on my laptop's GPU, but then my external screen up here is running off of the eGPU. So... The question is, what's OBS using? I should have checked that before we started. I don't know if OBS is CPU or GPU 0 or GPU 1. I hope it's on the RTX. Always something. So yeah, I just looking at parts. We could do a new PC build on this episode.
Yeah, it's quite interesting, but right now I'm more into hardware based into Arduino right now. As you remember, I was talking about my small project. I have some nice tool here, actually. You see this one?
Let me see. Oh yeah. What is that?
This is for soldering, so it's easy to get a PCB and put it on, fix it, because soldering requires a little bit of magnification when you have especially small parts like Arduino boards. And this is...
Did you see the $50 12 megapixel Raspberry Pi cameras that came out? And they have the lenses, the lens kits for them and everything. I've been waiting for that for a while. I think that's going to be really cool.
I didn't check it yet. What I, however, interested in is actually to build some machine learning stuff.
So back to that. The RTX cards, aren't they? So my understanding is why would anybody buy a Quadro card versus like an RTX or a GTX? And the best I could get from researching that was just essentially that NVIDIA's licensing says you can't put RTX or GTX in a data center. Like, so that's it. Like, it's like really similar, same less lower memory. So like Quadros have higher memory.
Jordan, don't forget to bleep it out.
So it's really like, so if you buy an RTX or like a Titan card, you're saving money because it's not, you can't use it in a data center, I guess, officially, but but you're getting like similar machine learning power though, right?
Right, and also I think Quadro has this NVLink technology that allows you to link together a lot of GPUs, so you are not having like a single one. You can link together, I think up to 30 or something like that. I don't remember exactly, but that was crazy number. And consumer based GPUs, I think RTX you can now link up to 3. But in general, usually there is maximum 2 GPUs you can link together in SLI mode. But NVLink allows you to link together more.
Yeah. Yep.
But in general, I also was a lot into GPU programming recently. I was using a lot in Rust. There is RAFire library adapter in Rust available. And I was doing some image resizing on GPU. and it was quite fun. So as soon as I found out actually how to arrange properly 3-dimensional RGB, actually how to arrange RGB triplets into the readable data for GPU, it worked pretty well. Even one of the developers from RFI Rust port helped me out with understanding how to properly actually arrange it by just using GPU based operations. So I just feed the pixel by pixel data into GPU, and then it splits out it into 3 channels, and those 3 channels gets resized, and then the data gets sent back to the CPU memory itself. So it's quite interesting thing.
Is that an offload service then, to offload like product images from a catalog?
Yes, because the biggest problem, let's say, when you try to do some image resizing, it takes a lot of CPU time, because every single pixel needs to be multiplied. Actually, there is different algorithms available, and like neighboring pixel needs to be merged together into one pixel, and this is a lot of multiplication. And even if you have a lot of CPU cores, it's still slow. However, on GPU, you have far more smaller compute units that can run much more faster in parallel. Like it can process teraflops of the data per second, right? So basically, having images being resized on a GPU is far more faster than on CPU. As soon as you have a GPU on your server, of course.
Yeah, so we could build a image optimization offload service on Stratus and put it on Amazon's P instance or the G instance. They have the Tesla GPUs.
Yeah, and basically what I was thinking about this one is that actually to build something like a resize service that runs on the GPU, and you just mount, let's say, an S3 or something to it, where it actually resizes the physical image too. And then there is just a Rust service that waits for the image to be resized on that service and just pulls it out from the static storage.
Interesting.
And then you, like, the only thing that would be required from Magenta stores is actually to use some extensions that will upload the images directly to that service. So they won't be stored on Magento anymore. They will just have to contact that service in order to be uploaded there. They probably would have it as on S3 or whatever you're gonna use over there, or maybe you can just use elastic storage to access these images in Magento if you want. But generally, like, I don't think it's a good idea to have some network mounted drives.
That's interesting. So you can get up to eight Tesla V100 GPUs in NVLink for 5,120 CUDA cores and 640 tensor cores. Do you know the difference between the use cases for the CUDA cores and the tensor cores?
I think CUDA cores is typical NVIDIA stuff, and tensor cores it's something that you have in TensorFlow.
TensorFlow.
Yeah, so TensorFlow it's kind of a framework for writing.
That's the ML stuff.
More models for machine learning. So you can train on one device and store your model and load it on another device, and it's still gonna work. So it's kind of a portable solution for you.
Your resizing, was that running on the CUDA cores?
Actually, it can run on anything. So REFire is an interesting option because, like, TensorFlow is oriented on machine learning, and if you just want to run some compute on GPU without doing machine learning, you need something more low level, and REFire provides for you something like that. So it's open source library. It has a couple of backends, and what's nice about it, it doesn't require from you to have a GPU. You can also run it on a CPU as well. it has 3 different backends, and it chooses between 3 different backends which one to use. Let's say if you have an NVIDIA graphics card, it will use CUDA library in order to connect to it. If you have an AMD graphics card, it will use OpenCL. And if you use CPU, it will use OpenCL as well, because OpenCL also runs on CPU.
That's neat.
So it's kind of automatically decides the best strategy based on your hardware, and it's quite nice library. So you don't need to worry about how to run your accelerated code.
Yeah,
it just integrates very well with your stack.
That's great. I've not done much GPU work except to crack hashes on Wi-Fi passwords. It's the only time. That's the only time I've used my GPU for anything other than like what it's normally does.
Yeah, it's crazy how many things you can actually do with GPU, and also if you want to put your RTX to work, you can actually join folding at home, and also do some DNA folding on your GPU as well for science.
Yeah, I've seen people saying like, if you have extra compute at home and you want to feel like you're contributing to the coronavirus or SARS-CoV-2 vaccine, you can join folding at home, joining a team, and contribute some CPU cycles to. How does that actually like help research?
Basically, it helps a lot because they need to run a lot of simulations, and those simulations help a lot with the research, because when there is a lot of people doing it at the same time, there is a lot of error checking as well happening, kind of by running multiple computers and finding the same one working very well. And also there's very limited number of supercomputers who can actually do the same as folding home can do right now. So folding home is actually much more faster right now in doing stuff than all those supercomputers available out there.
Now, who's the research? Who's the end researchers that benefits from that? Is that like academic universities?
Yeah, this is academics, and generally it takes time for them to write the code that is scalable like that, but like you receive only small part of the calculations required. So there's a lot of calculations that are involved over there, a lot of different simulations. So you probably like there's DNA has a lot of information in it, right? And RNA has a lot of information in it. And in order to calculate mutations and information based on those mutations, like it's a lot of mutations to be processed. So everyone takes some mutation there, and it just works like that. Do you hear me well?
Yep, we're back with your son.
Yeah, we have some small family emergency, so he is going to join us for the show today. Yeah, Donnie?
in his magenta orange shirt.
Yeah, he's watching some cartoons right now over here, so he's going to have some fun. Yeah? Okay, Donnie. Kike here. So, yeah, we were planning to start with... we were planning to start with profiling a homepage. Yeah. Nice microphone. Yeah, Danny. Nice microphone. Papa is speaking here. You see? Yeah. Okay. Let me share my screen. And I'm gonna start with profiling a homepage, right? Oh, just a moment. I'll put it here. So let's profile a homepage. Let's disable aggregation as usual. And let's see what this page is going to show us. So it takes some time to load the homepage. And let's see how many database queries they have on the homepage. So right now we see it's 277, right? And if we go into the timeline view, we can check what's happening over there inside. Okay, so something going on there on loading categories, but this is not very long time, but still makes sense to investigate. Rendering categories, add collection data. So this one tells me that they're actually not using flat categories on the front end, because they're using collection here. Usually Magento, when you have a flat enabled, Magento using nodes instead of collection of categories. So this is just works quite nice with Magento itself when you enable nodes itself. So here you see collection is used instead of tree, and it takes much more time to prepare the data. And then we see that there is some I/O happening here. So there is some render menu item happening.
Ultramegamenu.
Yeah, but I don't see what's happening inside of it. But if it takes 24 seconds per menu item, you see he is entertained with the profile of Blackfire. So here we see that every single item takes 20 something milliseconds, and this is quite a lot. So I'd love to see what's inside of this infortis ultramegamenu block navigation interceptor, because it doesn't show us what's happening there right now, but I expect that there is something happening for sure. Okay, what do database queries show us? Okay, there is some standard stuff from Magento's we saw before. Probably they have some products shown on the homepage. Yeah, so there's a bunch of products, and this bunch of products is shown here with after render. There is some get entities method gets called on every of them, and it triggers these database queries. So this is related to the varnish. However, for those blocks specifically on the homepage, I don't think you wanna flash your homepage cache every time some of these products getting sold, right? Because most of these products are usually maintained manually, and if something gets sold out, you want to update the homepage cache. You don't want to keep it in a cache all the time. So yeah, this stuff probably needs to be disabled, at least for the homepage, so you can add some overrides to the renderer. Okay, and what else do we have here? Let's scroll up, and how do I move it here? Probably here. Let's see in this part of the page what's happening here. Here is some product collection load happening, And yeah, so this is the standard Magento block directive in CMS. So they're having this featured products stuff is getting actually added through a special CMS block. And some of those queries are actually quite slow. This is probably related to the one of the first blocks. Let's see what kind of blocks are over there. New products. Okay, so this list of the products, the query to receive these products is quite slow. Probably it makes sense to create an index table for each of those blocks on a home page and take the data from index table instead of querying the raw data like displayed in this query. Let's say if we take a look at this query itself, can we actually expand it? Let's see, by time, ascending. So here it is. So yes, created at, basically this query takes all the products in catalog. Yeah, so there is a problem with this query. If you take a look, here we have product being joined with product index. So it means all the products in store 1. Then it gets joined with price index, and then with the stock index as well. But there is no additional filters like product IDs or anything. So basically what means, like, all the products that are available in that store view are gonna be added in MySQL joins. And it means it's gonna be quite painful to sort by created at. Because MySQL is not gonna sort products before joining them. It's gonna sort them as a last step. And this query is actually gonna hit quite hard with table sorts, especially if a lot of people are accessing the homepage concurrently. So this one, the new products block over here, requires definitely change of the functionality to use some kind of an index table where they just populate this table with products that are to be displayed as new. Because right now they actually decide on the new products, they decide only products that are created in descending order. So they actually show probably even products that are not completely created yet. Maybe without pictures or something, like as soon as product is in catalog, you can see it in this mini block. So this is basically what they need to fix. Okay, so what do we have here as well from the queries? I don't see a lot of issues here, except this one. So, and here is actually 3 identical queries. You see, again, like 3 times. This is probably what happening in these small blocks. Like it does 3 times queries that contains products in specific categories. So it just counts number of products. However, if you are showing those blocks, you don't need to count number of products. You can just fetch those products directly. You don't need to check quantity of them, because if there is no products returned, you just don't show a block. You don't show pagination over there. You don't show layered navigation over there to know the total count of products. So I think it's good with the homepage. So we found 2 things here. The menu, they need to enable flat categories. because the main menu generation time is quite high. It's one thing, and another thing that they probably need also to have the standard Magento issue, the one I work on related to the ESI includes. So they probably need to remove ESI includes from rendering tree, because right now the menu is rendered even through standard Magento renders a menu through the ESI include if you have varnish. And what I see in the page trace that they actually use varnish. So that's one of the issues.
Say that again. Repeat that issue. I wasn't following that. They are using varnish.
Yes. So they're using varnish, and in standard Magento, there is ESI tag for top menu. So the top menu usually is included through a separate HTTP request by varnish. And what does it mean? It means that this block is not required to be rendered on the page, but standard Magento implementation of ESI includes still renders a block, even though it doesn't show it in the page output. So if, for instance, on a server, in a server console, if you just request the data through Nginx, just to access the output of the homepage, you probably will see an ESI block instead of the menu. Like you will see ESI include tag with the URL of the ESI menu itself. And just by removing that one, you can save quite a lot of time on every page, because as we see, the menu generation takes at least 800 milliseconds. Okay, another one, compile. This one is actually interesting. Is it Magento compile or it's compile of opcode cache? Looks like
there's our friend composer autoload.
Yeah, the composer autoload definitely, but as well the compile statement here looks kind of interesting, because it's like 600 milliseconds, and I think this one is related to do you want to eat? Okay, he's just eating his I don't know how to call it in English. In raisins. Yeah, you know raisins.
Nature's candy.
Yeah. So here it is. We have compile, and let's see if it actually repeatable. If it happens in the second load as well. Yeah, it's still here. So this is interesting. Interesting to know what kind of compile is. Oh, okay. Runtime. Do we have compiled config loader? Okay, so object manager compiled, but here, what? Why do I see in a profile on production, why do I see a cache being generated? This looks weird. This one definitely strange. Do they have config cache disabled by any chance?
Not that I'm aware of.
Can we check it somehow?
Yeah, I can ask.
Because it looks like this one actually shouldn't happen in production at all. Like if you have a page being cached already, actually, if you have at least once visited the page, the configuration cache shouldn't be flashed. Or it could be possible that there is some extension that flashes configuration cache constantly as well. This would be funny. Because this one eats up like 1.5 seconds.
I pinged the team to check and see if they have config cache enabled or disabled, I guess. They're checking. I'm a big fan of raisins too, by the way.
Yeah, raisins is very nice thing. Yeah. Okay, so let's, while we are waiting for a reply about the cache, let's go into some category. Let's go into laptops. Why not? Just regular laptops, computers. Do they have, by the way, any kind of categories with which they have common issues?
I'm not sure. I asked them about it, and they mostly talked about the search thing, but they've had other issues. It's one of those things where like the issues come and go. So I don't think the support team's real clear. They'll get a request and they'll go look at it, and then they might not see it, and they'll go back, and so it's kind of.
Yeah. Okay, so the search and the regular categories. Yeah. Nice. So let's see. We are loading the data for category page. Let's see what is the result of the profile. So this is not a lot of queries, but the time to render the page is quite large. So let's see how it's going on. So here we're gonna see the results of it, and let's see what's happening on products. I think products are not taking too much time, so products doesn't look like have a lot of issues here. However, this part with the configuration cache takes quite a lot of time. So again, another configuration check, and another one lock of the configuration cache, and another read of the data from actual file system. So it looks like there are some issues with the cache.
What's read from the file system?
Yeah, so this one is related to the system cache itself. Yeah. Let's go if you want to. Wanna sit on the chair? Yeah. Oh, okay. Okay, so here we have around dispatch with. Okay, you wanna go to play? Yeah. Okay, so here we have interceptor around the categories, and yeah, it just checks for a customer is confirmation required. This one is kind of weird. Why? The plugin for depersonalization is actually checking if customer requires some confirmation email being sent. Well, we are not even a registered customer, so this one is weird. I never seen this one over here. And this one looks like some kind of depersonalization plugin. So yeah, this one looks weird. Why it happens here? But maybe I never seen it before because I never seen that the configuration cache is actually not logged in.
Yeah, it looks like their cache section has a default and a page cache, so yeah, it should be enabled.
But looks like here locked load data tells us the other thing, because it tells us that actually the data is never in cache. So yeah, give it to me. Okay, thank you. So yeah, the problem is that the configuration gets built again. You see from the data, so this looks like some data is still missing, or maybe something is not using the right data, or maybe they have an issue with the actual Redis. Maybe there is too much data in Redis and it just gets cleared up all the time. So and this one actually requires investigation, because I definitely can tell you that this is not a normal behavior. And I can imagine that there's quite a lot of stuff that relies on this one, and it slows down a lot of concurrent connections. And then there is a bunch of other stuff happening, but not much affecting performance, like the stuff related to the menu rendering and this issue with the cache. So let's go further into the page and see what's happening over here. The product's not taking too much time, and I think it's mostly about standard Magento and also some shopby stuff. What's up? What мультики? Okay, so here actually you see Algolia. Does some query. So does it do any request to Algolia? Oh no, it tells it's gonna do a query, but I don't see any request to Algolia here. It just does the standard Magento stuff. But then there is somehow I was seeing a musty somewhere here, or was I mistaken? Yeah, here is a musty shopby. Before rendering filters, there is some stuff happening, and yeah, it invokes build of aggregations for the standard Magento search. So definitely there is some improvement can be done by using Smile elasticsuite, because here we see also some stuff related to the faceted data that takes a lot of time. You see there is information about the category, takes quite a lot of time, and also stuff getting fetched from Algolia, that's also a little bit weird. And there is also some temporary inserts into the database table. So I definitely would consider here to take a look at Smile elasticsuite as an alternative and try it out. I'd recommend it for a customer. So there is definitely some issues with the mastic shopby, and there is also some interesting stuff happening with Algolia on the category page, where it probably shouldn't be called at all, because we are on a category page. Why do we call Algolia here? Especially in combination with a musty. So let's see on the database queries. So here we see the standard Magento alert navigation counters. This is something is quite bad from point of view of performance, because this is like 36 times this query gets executed, so looks like this is probably related to a massive shopby. Then there's a bunch of creation of these temporary tables, something that doesn't happen when you use Smile elasticsuite, because Laravel navigation and everything gets retrieved from Elasticsearch itself, not from Magento MySQL database. And here's a bunch of queries related to the category product. This is probably something related to the get identities issue, as we've seen before in previous shows as well. Where did I see some matrix or something like that? I saw some... Oh, it's metrics. Okay, so this is probably some kind of custom attribute. This is kind of a weird query. This kind of weird query that happens. So there is some group by and range on a temporary table. So if you have a lot of results on the category page, you might receive some slowdown on this query. So this is definitely needs to go as well. Yeah, of course, there is also a temporary table creation. There is a balcony just behind me, so he just learns about Daddy's office, because he's not coming here very often. So
he can't escape. He can't escape, can he?
No, he can't. Okay, so here's a bunch of stuff happening. Yeah, coming here. Okay. So there is definitely some queries that can be fixed by using proper Laravel navigation, like Smile elasticsuite. Okay, so let's quickly go into search page. Did they provide us an example of the page which we can take a look at?
Yeah, they said search for ASUS. ASUS. I used to always call that ASUS, but I'm pretty sure it's pronounced ASUS. Yeah, that's the... I was asking if Redis was out of memory, and it was... what's it called? Reclaiming, or... there's a term for it. Where it purges... Evicting.
Yeah, evicting records. Okay.
I mean, we have 3 services. One of them's just for page cache, so page cache itself would have to be full. So that would be weird that it would be like regenerating over, and it would be like generating and generating and generating instead of just generating and stopping.
Yeah, so this is a little bit weird what was happening. Okay, so let's check quickly what they were talking about the page, right?
With the search, yeah, try searching for ASUS. They said, let's see, ASUS. Okay, yeah. If you search for a term like Logitech or ASUS or anything that has quite a few results, we see a large lag in the time to first byte for the first load of the results page.
Okay, so when you click on it, okay, so let's do this thing. Let's start profiling of every request, right? And now when we are gonna profile all the requests, we're gonna start searching for Logitech, right?
Yeah, anything with a lot of products, he said.
Okay. Let's see. So it takes some time, right? Okay, I get redirected right away to a page with a product. This is weird. Okay.
Oh, you did mention that.
Let's look for ASUS, right? Because this one definitely should have a lot of products in it.
They said, please note they are using Algolia search as the engine, but believe something in the core or extension code is still running to generate legacy results that are not used.
Okay, so we are in catalog search results. So let's stop profiling and let's open the data over here. And don't put your finger inside of it. Yeah, he plays with clothes clipper. You know, when you hang clothes outside.
Yeah, clothespin. We call them clothespin.
Yeah.
I did.
Okay, so search results and do you like it? Okay, so here we have not much things actually happening. So yeah, there is the standard Magento collection happening, definitely. So the menu, and that's basically most of the page time. And on this page, actually, I don't see any issues with the configuration cache. So it could be possible that it happens randomly. And it could be possible that it happens and visible for them on catalog search page, because catalog search page is uncacheable by full page cache, by varnish. So it could be possible that their configuration cache gets flashed often. And when it's flashed, the search results getting slow. But right now I don't see something extraordinary happening. So I see there is some file system based search result readers. This looks a little bit weird. Also, there's some shopby requests over here that are slow, but not as slow as you would expect. Let's say if it was very slow page rendering. And the standard Magento slow rendering was a product list because it does a lot of additional database queries over there. But yeah, in general, it doesn't happen a lot. And here as well, there is some do request from Algolia.
Oh, that's the wait. Algolia is calling out from inside the PHP. I thought that was
they definitely. Done. Okay, so here is there's some kind of collapsed filters, something like that, and Algolia is used for some of the filters. Probably here, probably these filters over here are coming from Algolia, and they probably are different than the filters, let's say, on the category page. Let's look at the category page. Yeah, the filters are completely different on the search page. Did you see it?
No.
So here is the filters on the category page. Oh, on the. Sorry, I don't hear you anymore. Oops. Come here. Up. Come here. Okay. Tell everyone hello. Yeah? Okay. So the thing is, if you take a look at the filters on search results here for ASOS, you see that the design of the filters is different than actually on the category page.
Yeah. So Algolia is building their own.
And I think that's curl, what curl is for. So they just fetch HTML from Algolia in order to render this stuff, or maybe JSON. So some kind of a data happens here. So this is where the issue is. But I don't think that's a big issue comparing to the other stuff that they have. So there's definitely a lot of reasons to check what's happening with the configuration cache, why it's getting not used on the pages. As well, I see here on the search page mostly number of queries that are extraordinary is the ones that are related to the get identities issue when you have varnish cache enabled. So then Magento does a lot of additional database queries. So basically, as previously I was talking on previous shows, we just can disable those plugins from executing those queries at all. So just remove these plugins for reconfiguration and you're good to go, because usually you don't care about if the simple product is assigned to a configurable product. So you don't want to show every single configurable product in a page of the simple product. So it's completely redundant relation, in my opinion. But probably...
Which plugin are you saying to remove?
There is a plugin in... just a moment. There is a plugin in Magento for bundle products and also for configurable products, where all the simple products that are assigned to configurable and to bundle product gets related configurable and bundle product IDs being... Yeah. So let's say you have simple product and this simple product gets out of stock, and you want to update all the pages where this simple product data might affect it. Let's say if you have configurable products that contains this simple, or bundle products that contains this simple, you want to update all the pages where this simple product can be. And that's what this plugin was supposed to do, but instead actually it does quite the opposite. So it does usually the other way around. It actually checks for simple products that are assigned in bundles and configurable products, and tries to add bundle and configurable product IDs. And it doesn't check is it a simple or configurable bundle products that are currently shown. It just does it without any check at all. So basically, there is almost no reason to run this check at all. And anyway, it's much more better to develop this functionality related to the business purpose, because you don't want to nuke your cache when you just get one of the simples out of stock. You want to have something more sophisticated. Let's say if you don't have any products available anymore, then you probably want to remove bundle or configurable product from listings. But if only one of them went out of stock or got a stock quantity changed, you don't want just to flush all the cache where this simple product was visible, only where it matters. And most of the time, this is category pages. So yeah, this is this problem. Okay, let's quickly check add to cart functionality, just to make sure that all is fine. Let's profile all request again, and let's add something to the shopping cart. Okay, and let's right away also go to the checkout. Yeah, so checkout actually takes quite a long time to load, in my opinion. It's quite a lot of requests happening here. let's see what is the result of all of those operations. What is the profile? Okay, you wanna come to me? Okay. Up. So
Did that monitor in
here-
your cart say it had 165 hertz refresh rate?
Oh, Danny, wait a second.
He wants to shop. He wants a new computer.
Yeah, he wants to play some games. Yeah.
Yeah.
I just found some browser games like Paw Patrol browser games, and he was playing once behind this computer, and now he thinks like, yeah.
he's a pro gamer now, man. You're gonna have to set him up on a Twitch stream.
Дань, давай мультики подивись. Okay, so let's take a look. Did it finish profiling? That's a lot of requests to the backend server, as you see. Also, this one looks kind of interesting. You see, yeah, yeah. Hello, yeah. Oh, we
Live
see
chat.
some. This is not to this customer. It just was the one that we didn't release.
Oh,
So
yeah, right.
here you see you have asset, dynamic assets CTF CSS or something like that, and that one is doing some backend call, something that shouldn't happen, because there should be no kind of dynamic. Don't bash on the keyboard, Danny. So yeah, he opened some debug.
It's life in quarantine.
So I think we have to finish very soon.
Yes.
Because he wants to go play. He's not very quiet guy.
That's understandable. All right. Yeah.
Okay.
So a lot of requests on the checkout.
Yeah. So the checkout page itself was happening couple of requests. So there is at least one HTTP request on the checkout page. This one, Omni Stock Store, looks kind of weird, and it's happening a lot of times during the checkout page load. Also, they have a lot of rendered on customer section loads on the checkout page, so the server actually gets bombarded with HTTP requests all the time. So this is kind of tough. And from point of view of timings, like adding to cart takes quite a lot of time. Makes sense to take a look. And as well, on adding to cart, there's like 3 HTTP requests. This one looks interesting. Let's take a look at it. So this is some kind of ERP, right? So adding to the shopping cart involves some kind of ERP call, and this is a little bit bad thing to have, because it means that if ERP is down, your web shop is down as well. Like, you cannot add anything to the shopping cart. It's one thing, and another thing, you put unnecessary load onto ERP. So on every single sale of the shopping cart, they do a call to ERP. Actually, they do 3 calls to ERP. And all of them save to Omni, calculate, one list calculate, and there's some other stuff as well. So it definitely makes sense to verify for them why they are doing these calls on a shopping cart. Like there's at least 2 identical calls, like save to omni happening once, and then save to omni happening second time. So there's like 2 identical calls. So it doesn't make sense to execute it all the time. So we probably can't tell anything more, but this one actually takes quite a big chunk of time. So if you take a look here, the calls here from 2.6 seconds, at least 900 milliseconds are spent on communication with ERP on adding to cart. So there is a lot of optimizations can be done. Maybe they can just, if the adding to cart process is not relying on ERP, maybe put this kind of information in a queue or something like that, and update ERP by using some message queue and doing it in batches, not do it one by one, because basically if during Black Friday they're gonna have an influx of customers, it's not only about Magento sustaining a load. It means ERP needs to scale as well. And usually what I know from my experience, having ERP scaling is much more harder than having Magento scale well.
Yep.
So yeah, it makes sense to take a look what's problem over there. And there's also this Ajax Cart Pro from AheadWorks. It adds to cart, and then there's another HTTP call executed. So this one looks weird. Why not to do it in single HTTP call? So maybe they do some sub request internally or something like that. So it's kind of weird what's happening over there.
It was too quiet there for a couple minutes. I was getting worried.
Yeah, he just there is in a cartoon there is a shark, and he is just showing like this with his hands and doing noise like because there is a shark, and there is also a dino and so on. Yeah, just an interesting cartoon.
We can wrap it up. We can wrap it up. That's a good. Yeah. So big thing was really what's going on with config cache. Like that we shouldn't have seen that. It looks like it's regenerating or something.
Yeah, and also there is a lot of HTTP calls that can be optimized. Like there is omni stock store at least 3 times getting called in checkout, and I think there's a lot of data in this omni stock store that shouldn't be refreshed that often. So probably it's just a list of stores or something like that. And he confirms as well.
He agrees. The expert agrees.
Okay. So
yeah.
I think this is quite clear. There's, I think, a clear plan what needs to be done. A little bit of cumbersome recording today, but I think
it's life. That stay at home in quarantine.
Yeah, yeah. So sometimes things happen, and you need to, and you need to have an unexpected guest on the show. So actually, he's our first.
He is our first guest. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, Danny. Danny, say bye-bye, everyone. Yeah?
Bye-bye.
Danny, say bye-bye. Yeah, he's shy to do it.
All right. Well, hit us up. We're load in the loop on Twitter, litl@magemojo.com. We'll link our contacts.
thanks very much to Blackfire for sponsoring us and providing us with the account. And this customer has not a bad performance, but it can be improved. So Smile elasticsuite, they can consider it, because I think there's nothing stops them from using it on category pages, at least.
Yep. Cool. All right. Thanks, everyone.
Yeah. Thank you, everyone. Till the next time.